Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this very special episode. I'm so excited to introduce you to Danika Paulo. She's a resident physician in neurosurgery at Vanderbilt. Not only that, but we've actually been friends since we were 15?
Something
16?
like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Half our lives.
Yes, exactly. I was just thinking about it. I'm 30 now, so 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah, unbelievable. So thank you for coming on.
Of course. Happy to be here.
So, like I said, we've been friends for years, and it's always been a passion of yours to become a doctor. And since I could remember, you wanted to become a neurosurgeon, and here you are. Your dreams are coming true. And not only that, but you're also kind of breaking barriers and really making a name for yourself. So I want to talk to, first off, what it takes to get to school, like the whole match program, what it took to get to Vanderbilt.
Sure. Well, thank you. That was an excellent introduction, and I'm so humbled by everything that you said. I feel very fortunate to be at the place that I am now, and I still know I have a ways to go, but there's been lots that has led me up to the match process. I mean, of course, you have to go through high school, which we did together at Pingree, the 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, which includes, clinical rotations and boards and things like that. And then you get to the match process at the end of, throughout your 4th year of medical school. You send out applications, you do rotations at other hospitals within your subspecialty, which is essentially a month-long live interview. I actually did 4 of those, which is pretty common in neurosurgery these days. And then, you send out your application, you talk about your research experience, any volunteer experience, your coursework, any organized groups you were involved in at school, like student government or interest groups or anything like that. And then you have to include letters of recommendation from people in your specialty, like 4 or 5 of them. And they see your whole school transcript too. So you send that out. You get several interview requests back. I went on 22 interviews that year, which was quite a lot.
Unbelievable.
And then at the end of all that, you have to get a good sense of your match and where you would fit and where you would want to be. And you submit a rank list of the programs that you prefer from most to least. Each program ranks their students that they like from most to least, and that gets submitted to a computer algorithm that essentially spits out the best match. And then on match day, every med student in the country opens the envelope on the same day and just finds out where they're going.
Oh my God, I'm going to Vanderbilt.
Wow.
So it's exciting and stressful all at the same time.
It sounds it, but I also want to kind of look at the numbers. There was someone, you said a medical school student, a friend, posted on your wall kind of some stats. I'm going to go ahead and read that for you.
Sure.
So he said, to embarrass Danika and put things into perspective, there are 43,000 applicants for 31,000 residency spots in the country. 200 of those spots are for neurosurgery. 15% of those who match into neurosurgery are women. Danika is one of 30 women in the entire country who have matched into neurosurgery this year. That is 0.07% of every candidate in the match. That's incredible. But just hearing those numbers, what was it like on match day when you found out that you got into not only one of your top 5, but also Vanderbilt. That's a huge deal. That's what the Harvard of the South, they say, right? That's incredible.
I was very excited. That day was filled with nerves, and everybody is discovering their future together, and the energy in the room was palpable, and it was one of those moments that in that moment it feels like it's dragging on forever. Mm-hmm. But in retrospect, it's something that I will remember vividly for the rest of my life. Just that sensation of opening the envelope, coming to that realization. You can see the expression run across my face of shock and then pure excitement and just screaming, and I don't know, just all the good feelings to get started. And so honored and fortunate. I'm so thankful every day to have ended up at Vanderbilt. It's a great work environment. Everybody's so supportive. Living in Nashville has been so much fun. Great food, live music. What more could you ask for?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to look at, you're in your residency, you're in your 4th year of 7. 15% of residents nationally are women. This is according to the Vanderbilt Medical magazine, and 6% are board certified neurosurgeons who are women. So that number alone, I feel like, is incredible. On top of that, you actually made history when you put into that residency in 2017. The Vanderbilt Medical magazine said, quote, "For the first time in the Vanderbilt University Medical Center neurosurgery department history, each physician who matched is a woman." I mean, realizing that, that article on you was incredible. I mean, I know I read it when the second you posted it. And what were your thoughts being part of that select group?
So, first and foremost, just absolutely, lucky and grateful. My 2 co-residents, Heather and Silky, are wonderful. They're both intelligent. They've achieved so much in their careers. They continue to do so. And they're so kind and supportive, and they really care about their patients, their co-residents, everything about their development as neurosurgeons themselves. And it's so inspiring to work alongside them. But I think it's not something that we planned for. The match process, as I just explained, was so much up to chance. But the fact that we all kind of serendipitously fell into this cohort that now is getting recognition, I think, it's something really special, even just to be a woman alone going into neurosurgery and seeing those numbers start to increase. The fact that the 3 of us are in it together and we're forming solidarity, I think we're kind of really changing the way people view neurosurgeons. I've had patients tell me, I didn't even know there were female neurosurgeons. And so it's cool to go through those experiences together and be able to share them and be stronger because of it.
I love that. And I was reading the article, and it was interesting that one of the members who they interviewed had said, we don't have a plan to make 50-50, women to men. It just kind of, we want the best. Right. And so I think that also says something huge about you, is that, you were matched with Vanderbilt, not because you were a woman, because they were looking for a woman, because you are one of the best. So I think that speaks a lot to your match and you becoming a resident with them. Speaking of being a resident, I hear some of the most grueling times that you can go through. I mean, tell us a little bit about what that process is like, what your typical day is like. I mean, sure. Crazy hours, you always hear about it, but, I want to hear right from you.
So my hours are a lot better this year. I'm currently on my research year, so I have a bit more flexibility, but I would say, the worst of it was honestly second year. You're in the hospital every day operating, and then you're taking call 1 to 2 nights out of the week, staying in house, up all night, taking care of new consults and things like that. So I would say a typical day, I would get there maybe around 5 a.m., make the list, round on patients, then we meet as a team and go through everything. We pre-op our patients around 7, OR start at 7:30, and then you're operating until the surgeries are done, because you may have multiple in a day. And then once that's done, you have to round on the patients again and sign out to the night team. And if you're not on call, you can go home at that time, which could be anywhere from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. really. And then if you're on call, you stay on all night into the next morning, taking care of a whole list of patients and seeing all the new ones and doing the procedures that they need. And it's like that for an entire year, which I mean,
a lot.
It is a lot. And then, third year, it lightens up a bit. We have other rotations at the Children's Hospital and the VA, which is a little bit later. And then 4th and 5th year are research years, so it's much more flexible. But the rigor, I think, was really in the first and second year being the worst. And then when I go back after my research years, I'm going to be a 6th and 7th year, again, leading those teams and operating well into the night and taking call. Yeah. So.
I mean, it sounds like that's just obviously a lot on your plate, but something you're super passionate about, and I know. I want to go through some other numbers. AANS reports that 3,700 neurosurgeons in the country, board-certified neurosurgeons. Mm-hmm. FSMB says that there are 985,000 MDs and DOs in the country, so doctors. So that means that 0.4% of all the doctors in the country MDs and DOs are neurosurgeons. I mean, so to become that point four, I mean, I understand, you know, kind of the rigor and everything that's got to go on in being a resident. My question to you is, have you ever kind of hit a point where you're like, I don't know if I can do this. This is a lot. Or have you just kind of been like, this is what I love?
I think as I've had more and more exposure to neurosurgery, it's honestly just excited me more and reaffirmed for me that this is where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. I mean, sure, there are days that are tough and emotionally draining, even physically draining too. But no, I mean, the reward of helping a patient, you know, take their pain away or have one less brain tumor in the world or understand their disease a little bit better or take their tremor away. I mean, there's nothing that can explain that type of excitement and fulfillment that I get from that. And that's something that's only gotten stronger with time. It hasn't faded. And I hope to carry that with me for the rest of my career.
You know, you kind of answered this question in just what you said, but has the reason why you want to be a neurosurgeon, has that changed from when you first went through medical school to now?
Not really. At the core of it, it was just to really help people. And in neurologic disease, it's some of the most serious and most acute medical conditions. And it's, you know, the organ that makes you who you are. It's at the root of your human functioning. So if they can trust me to with that organ to make it better and not cause it harm, then that's a huge responsibility, but it's a huge privilege as well. I get enjoyment from helping patients through some of the toughest times. And that really keeps me going. And
you're such a, like, I can obviously speak to your character. I've known you 15 years. You're a kind and caring person. And so, I mean, the industry and, you know, Vanderbilt and everyone, they're lucky to have you. You know, everyone's lucky to have you as another person who can just help out the world in such a special way. I guess I only really have one last question. I usually ask people to end this, you know, if I knew you better, what would I ask you? But I know you pretty well. My question is really, do you have any advice for anyone who is either trying to be a neurosurgeon, trying to go to medical school, going through that residency program, going through that match program, or just a woman who feels like they're kind of up against, you know, a bit of a male-dominated world and they're just not sure how to navigate? Right. What advice do you have for people? I mean, first and foremost, if you're in the school age years, you know, work hard in school, prioritize that. If you're not getting something's not clicking, seek out other resources, other help, tutors, other classmates, study groups, things like that. And then keep advocating for yourself always. It's okay to take a little time and figure out if you're not sure what I really want. The best way to figure that out is to get more exposure, whether that's direct, you know, shadowing experience or reading more about what those lifestyle trajectories are like, or, you know, hopefully you're fortunate enough to meet people and speak with them directly. But that's the best way, I think, to try to get insight on what a future in that career path would be like. You know, same with boards, you have to study hard just like school, but it is all worth it. And whatever sacrifices you have to make, they're all kind of temporary and it's towards a greater goal. Your friends will always be there. The good times will always be there, you know, and you'll have even more to celebrate once you rock the boards or rock your grades. I think it's also important to seek out mentors that you connect with, especially with women. I think I was inspired because I had a good female mentor when I was in medical school. She was a neurosurgeon and a wife and a mother of 5 kids. Wow. And she was very active in teaching in medical school. And she just kind of taught me the logistics of her life. And she had a very, like, nobody can tell me no attitude. I'm going to keep up with the boys. And it was very inspiring. So I always kind of
kind of adopted that mentality too of like, you can't tell me no, like I'm gonna prove you wrong.
It's funny, we were actually talking about that earlier, just wanting to also be a mother and wife, and that balance, and that the fact that that's okay to still want that life, and for men and for women. I think that it's so special that you had that mentor. That's really, really great advice.
Yeah.
Neeks, is there anything else that you wish I'd asked you that I hadn't asked you?
I will add too, I have another great female mentor in my current residency program. She's our program director, Dr. Chambliss, and she is also a mom of 2 kids, and she runs marathons. And her and Dr. Tiagi, who is my med school mentor, they just prove that you can balance it all and you can really get it done. You make time for what's important in your life, and if doing all these things is important, then you can get it done. Who's to say no but you? You're your only barrier, really. My mom has also been a great influence throughout my whole life. She, was a lawyer. She worked really hard. She showed me what work ethic was like, and the importance of it, and doing it in a way that really can make an important impact. So I value that. Yeah, love Laura. She is wonderful. Thank you, Mom. She's a key part of all my schooling and why I'm here today too. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
I love that. And that's such good advice for people, just, trying to navigate that space, whether it is the medical field or, trying to be a mom and as well as someone who's working full time and trying to follow their career. So I love that. Neeks, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for joining us. We got some more shows coming up, so make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Strackhouse on all your streaming services, and we'll see you next time.